Hey, I'm really happy to be here. I'm thrilled. I'm super excited to kick off this panel about the future of web testing. And I'm so excited because of two reasons. One, a lot of things, great things happening now in this field. Just to give you an example, I checked today in GitHub, and there are already 17,000 repos dealing only with testing in JavaScript. 4,000 of them were written in the last year. So many things and innovation happening now in testing. The second reason is because I probably have the ideal panel to discuss all of these trends, really some of the most influential, the people who are building this innovative tool here with me. So how about we start with a quick intro? Let's start with you, Nancy. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Really excited to be here. My name is Nancy, and I am a solutions architect working at a company called Rango.io. We're a tech consulting agency, so worked with a lot of clients in the past, enterprise and startups, oftentimes with their testing strategy.
Cool. Great to have you, Nancy. Ken, Dodds, I'm not sure we even need to introduce Ken, but we will. Ken, please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Super happy to be here. I love the conferences put off by GitNation. They do a great job. So yeah, I created testingjavascript.com, where I can teach you everything that I know about testing. It's awesome. So take a look at that. And actually, there's a discount coupon just for TestJS Summit. So I'll share that in the Discord. And I also created Testing Library, which is kind of a funny name for a library, but it helps you test DOM-related stuff. So anything that has to do with the DOM, anywhere you can find the DOM. And actually, there's even there are other implementations for like React Native and stuff like that too. But it just gives you utilities that you need to test UI. That's the main idea behind that. So that's what I do.
Cool, and we're about to discuss, of course, testing library very soon. Oren, good morning, San Francisco.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Super excited to be here with everyone. My background is mostly building products for developers in the last 22 years. I'm guessing the standard is the Amplitude, the visual validations. I was one of the founding members, Wix, an early developer, and now the founder of, in the last 6 years, founder of Testim. We focus on AI helping test automation.
That's great, and we're also about to discuss. We're also going to discuss testing. Jason, hi.
Hey everyone, I'm happy to be here. I'm Jason Palmer. I work at Spotify for the last almost 10 years as an engineer and now a PM. I'm also a core contributor to Jest, and I created Jest JUnit. So if you're running Jest in a CI environment, there's a pretty good chance you're using that.
Amazing. Great, so we're about to discuss now a bunch of hot trends in testing. And each of the panelists is going to share his thoughts and experience about each of these hot trends. So how about we start with the CI world? And there is a new giant player, GitHub, now playing in the CI world in the past 2 years. And funnily enough, I just checked today, and each of the big vendors who operate there for years have approximately 100 extensions or actions, some call these orbs. GitHub in 2 years already have 7,000 GitHub actions. So it's growing crazily. And my question to you, let's start with you, Ken. Is this just another big giant eating the market, or are they doing things differently? Do they provide new capabilities, opportunities for us developers?
Years ago, I did a survey, not like a survey, but I took a survey of all of the CI services that I thought would be good for the company that I was working with at the time. And I tried a ton of them, and I ended up with Snap CI, which is no longer a thing, which is kind of sad. There's GoCD now as their thing, but and that's what I used for my company. But then for open source, I was all in on Travis CI, and it served me really, really well for years. But I don't want to get into this too much, but Travis kind of changed the way that they do things in a way that made it very difficult for open source. And so I've been totally moving everything over to GitHub Actions. I've been kind of thinking about it anyway. And my goodness, it's such a nice experience. So there's a reason that I think so many people are going over to GitHub for managing their GitHub Actions. There can be some concern with the monopolistic approach, I guess. But I don't know, like I'm just trying to ship stuff, and GitHub Actions makes it really easy to do that. So I like it.
Yeah, can you share one example of any delightful experience, something that just helped you specifically to ship?
Yeah, well, you mentioned the 7,000 different GitHub custom actions that you can use. That like I didn't have to build any custom or custom action of any kind. It was just like putting together all these different ones to make things come together in a really nice way. It was just very. I wouldn't say that it was super straightforward. There are definitely some nuances and intricacies and things like that. But once you have it set up, it's actually pretty understandable what you have. And I think that just the sheer amount of actions that you have at your disposal is super helpful.
Yeah. Nancy, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this matter.
Yeah, I think it's actually super cool. I really like the approach kind of GitHub went with. Instead of just focusing on being another CI tool and just focusing on their infrastructure, they really took like that open source approach, really encouraging and fostering the community to contribute and focusing on that marketplace aspect rather than it being sort of an afterthought. And I think that's where it's really powerful. And that's probably why we've seen so much growth there so quickly. And really now sort of GitHub is not, limited by, how many developers they're putting on to really build out their CI or really understanding the user's need, because it comes organically, right? They're allowing the community to kind of dictate where this goes. And I think that's super exciting to see. I think it's hard to predict where it will go in the future, especially, a lot of the clients I worked with in the past, like switching over to a whole new infrastructure is just a huge undertaking and oftentimes not the top priority and just not worth the effort right off the bat.
Yeah, interesting. Both of you mentioned that the marketplace is the thing. Like upfront, they build it for the marketplace, and this is the core, and not some extension like it was in previous CI vendors. Sensible. And Oren and Jason, feel free to jump in whenever, and everyone. We are spontaneous here, and so
one thing I really like about GitHub Actions, I guess, is that it's kind of one of the CI providers that's taking the Docker-based approach, which is really nice. And it's kind of a new wave that I've seen, I guess, in the last few years. It definitely makes it easier for folks to be able to reproduce CI steps locally and kind of craft a decent, CI environment locally and make sure that it works. And then you kind of, it's a lot less, toil basically than you might have with other CI environments.
Yeah. So bottom line, I think anyone should evaluate the GitHub, at least evaluate as your next CI. And I'm moving to the next topic, which is testing library. Well, probably everyone here heard about React testing library. I learned recently that it has sisters, which is X testing library for Cypress, for Puppeteer, for almost any UI framework. And if you're not sure how popular it is, recently the State of JS big survey was published, and people chose testing library above Jest and Mocha as their most popular testing framework. Of course, it's not the same thing, but it was scored as the most trendy testing library of past year. And surprisingly, we have the creator here, Ken. Question for you. So I know Cypress. I can do things for this with Cypress. I know to build stuff, and I'm going to start now a new project. Why should I use, for example, Cypress testing library and not Cypress as is?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you should use Cypress for sure. So testing library is a collection of utilities that you use within testing frameworks. So it's not a replacement for Jest or Mocha or Cypress. It's more of a utility that you tack onto those things. And so but that said, with Cypress in particular, there are built-in commands that you can use instead of what you get from Cypress testing library. And so the reason that I can suggest adding in Cypress testing library instead of using like sci.get, for example, is because it gives you more confidence. And that's all that we're really after. I know that some testers really like to use testing to kind of enhance their design process and everything so they can build out their code. And that's great if that's what you want to do. TDD is awesome, whatever. But for me, I'm mostly, and when we talk about running tests in CI, the types of tests that I want to run in CI are the types that can tell me, can I ship this or not? Everybody says don't ship on Fridays. I want to be able to ship on Fridays. I want to ship whenever. Whenever I commit code, it should get shipped. And for me to be able to do that, I need to have confidence. And this is what testing library offers, is a really nice way to not only query. In Cypress, it's pretty much just for querying, but elsewhere it gives you not only queryability, but also interactivity with that output DOM. And the reason I say you don't need that for Cypress is because Cypress has great interactivity functionality already. So it adds the ability to query your document really, really well. And not only does it make it easier to read and write those tests, but it also, you end up with more confidence because of the types of things that you're writing in your tests. And so, yeah, that's the reason. It just helps you increase the level of confidence. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm. So just to make it even clearer, so the main motivation for me as a developer is to use testing library across different UI framework is mostly to reuse my knowledge, that the syntax that I'm already familiar with, or it kind of pushes me towards best practices. Things like, hey, test like the user, don't focus on the internals. What exactly?
Yeah, exactly that. So it's the fact that you can use testing library wherever you can find a DOM is a really awesome thing, but that's not why you use it. The reason that you use it is because it helps separate your tests from implementation details, which is why you get so much confidence out of it. And originally, when I wrote testing library, it was actually React testing library specific to React. And then I realized that there was just a very thin integration layer between React and the rest of the DOM. And so I extracted all of that. And then we made Angular testing library and Vue testing library and Cypress testing library. There's a test cafe testing, like anywhere you find a DOM, you can use testing library for it. And that actually is a huge benefit. So you can have your unit and integration tests that are maybe running in Jest or wherever, and they're all hitting the DOM. And then you can also have your end-to-end tests, and they look very similar from the way that you're querying and interacting with the DOM, which I think is a huge benefit too.
Sounds like a great opportunity. And can you recommend resources, places to learn more about testing library?
Yeah, testingjavascript.com is a pretty good place to learn it. And I did share in the Discord a short URL. Maybe I'll share it again because people are pretty active in the Discord. But yeah, for a 25% discount to testingjavascript.com. But of course, like it's not that's not the only place to learn. Like you said, it's very, very popular. There are tons and tons of courses that you can pay for, and also videos that you can watch on YouTube. I've given many talks. I've got lots of free content on my blog. And then the docs are really good. So you can go to testing-library.com and learn more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally really like this approach of test from the user perspective, almost as production. And I think that this mindset also inspires many now of the testing strategy of the organization level testing strategy are being disrupted. So let's play a small role game. Let's say that you are the chief testing officer or the CTO, and I'm your developer. And I'm working traditionally. Well, I'm writing unit tests, a lot of unit tests. Then after 3 weeks, when I have the version working with 100% test coverage, then me and the QA person starts writing some integration tests and then some end-to-end testing, then manual testing my version and put in production. Now we have a meeting and we do our planning for 2021. What exactly, and Oren, let's start with you. What exactly should I change in this approach for the next year?